Oh, yeah, Raider Nation, what's up? It's your boy, Mikey Raider, coming off of a 10 or 11 hour live streaming draft weekend. That's right, I've been online so much, my hands are hurting. That could be a masturbation joke. What's up? This is Raider Football Talk. I'm your host, Mikey Raider, where normally, hopefully, each and every Friday, depending on health, I come to you guys live on this channel and discuss news about the Raiders. But it's been a tough couple of weeks. Plus, it was draft weekend, and I did live streams, and I've responded to the draft picks, and I'm giving you guys my thoughts, my draft grades, my predictions, my conspiracy theories, whatever it is that I'm giving you. And this is not live, because I'm enjoying my Saturday watching the XFL, and I'm realizing who the draft picks that the Raiders got on day 3 are. So this is my reaction video for the day 3 draft picks. The picks that supposedly will round out our entire roster for the following seasons. And did we get everybody we needed on our list? And is there more conspiracies coming? We're going to talk about it. It's going to be an interesting, maybe 25, 30-minute show. So strap on your belts and let's get to it if you like to hear me talk. If you don't, get on out of here! No, I'm just kidding. Hit that subscriber button. Become a member if you so inclined for exclusive content, members-only videos like this one. This will be members-only early. It'll be released later tonight or tomorrow. But that being said, we got some merchandise. Consider donating, super chat, whatever you can do to support your boy. I would truly appreciate it. All links down below for donation and merch, and to become a member, click the join button. It's a couple bucks a month. You get exclusive content, and I will be making some members only videos breaking down some clips of all of our draft picks in the coming days. That's right, Raider clips, the illegal stuff, is coming back on our members only channel for our members only in the coming days. And I'd like to thank everybody that's a member now. I think I got about 20 members. Let's make that number up to 25. I would appreciate it. I love you all. Thank you everybody for supporting. And I had a beautiful draft day 1, a beautiful draft day 2. Had a little bit of vino or wine. People super chatted, donated, made me feel good, helped me buy some turkey tacos, and pay some bills. And I did make a Raider recipe. I just haven't edited the video together yet. But I'm going to let everybody know my Raider recipe because I need editing software. I don't have it on my computer right now. Can't afford it. But this year's Raider recipe, guys, was... And remember, for people that don't know what the Raider recipe is, every draft day, I make a Raider recipe, something inspired by our team, and it has the name of players or coaches or something. Like back in the days, I made the Derek Carnitas tacos, or I made the Jack Wet Del Rio burrito because he had grande balls. I made the Reggie McKenzie Red Hot Mac and Cheese for McKenzie Mac and Cheese with sausage with Red Hots because he was red hot in 2014 with draft picks. And you guys that are fans of the channel know what's going on. But this year's Raider recipe was the Josh Full of Turkey Burger McDaniels. Basically, it was called the I'm Full of Turkey Josh McDaniels Burger. Instead of full of S. It was a turkey burger. Right? And it had some sour lettuce. That's right, it had some sour lettuce. Some salty tomato. And some Limburger funky, disgusting cheese. Because that's how I feel about Josh McDaniels. So I made a full of turkey Josh McDaniels burger. Because I'm salty, full of BS and cheese and smells and blah, 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 blah. You guys let me know some of your inspired Raider recipes in the chat room. Let me know what you would have made this year for your Raider recipe with Raider player names or themes or the coaching staff or whatever. I made a full of turkey Josh McDaniels burger with salty, sour, Limburger, disgusting, smelly cheese. It makes me laugh. All right, let's get right into it. I reviewed the day 1 and day 2 picks, and then we'll go over that, and we are going to talk about the entire draft class right now. Let's do it. So, this was a very important draft, let's be honest, for Josh McDaniels. People that give Josh McDaniels and Dave Ziegler, you know, they're giving him excuses and whatnot. And hey, they didn't have a draft class here, Mikey. They didn't have a first or second rounder because of Devontae Adams. And, you know, this is their first draft. And even Mark Davis is giving them excuses on the videos or in press conferences. He doesn't know what he doesn't know. He's never done this. You know, maybe they're struggling because of this and because of that. And then even our damn general manager in press conferences is saying, well, you know, yeah, you know, I'm learning on the job and blah, 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 blah. And then he just mentioned about a week ago that he has a pro scouting department to give him analyzation on players. But he also has a scouting department that's not pro. That's right. He said that they got 2 different departments. Okay. And did he listen to the words of any of these scouts for this draft class? We're going to discuss. And I'm going to prove that theory wrong. Why are you paying these scouts if you're not going to pick the players they probably tell you? Why are you paying these scouts for 2 departments, a professional department and a whatever scouting department? High school maybe, I don't know. When you're just going to go pick players from the Senior Bowl. That's right. Patrick Graham, our defensive coach, was the coach of the Senior Bowl. And him and a couple of staff members for the Raiders were at the Senior Bowl, and they met a lot of these players. And I think we probably got 5 or 6 of them that were drafted. I don't know the exact number, forgive me, it may be 4. It's at least 3. It's probably 4, but I got to do more research, but it could be all 6 of them. So did the scouts do work? Or did just Patrick Graham go there with a couple of people in the Senior Bowl? And did Patrick Graham go, I like him. I know he's on offense, but I'm a defensive coach, and I know his skills. Hey, Josh, draft him. Don't listen to your scouting department. Hey, Dave Ziegler, don't listen to your pro scouting department. We're your independent scouting department. And even though I'm on defense, I recommend these offensive players from the Senior Bowl. Because what I see is good. They would blow up my crappy defense real good. That player would blow up my crappy defense real good. So you should pick him. Blah, 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 blah. I don't know. These are theories. Things that possibly piss me off. I don't know what's happening. All I know is they got 4, at least 3, probably 4, maybe 6 players from the Senior Bowl. And we got how many picks? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9. So if it's 4 or 5 or 6 out of 9, that's at least half. 50% came from the scouting department of Patrick Graham and whoever else at the Senior Bowl. Okay, I'm just throwing that out there. What are you paying other people for? You know, it seems like they didn't want to put in the work. Seems like they didn't want to put in the work. You get it? They just hear things. Again, I'm a salty Ziegler fan, McDaniels fan. And in free agency, they pick players, they trade players that might have worked in the system. They trade Rock Ya-Sin, Yannick Ngakoue, blah, 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 blah. Whatever happened, happened. Then they pick up players, you know, Chandler Jones, all these other players, and they think they'll be good. You know, Derek Carr, they're going to the season, give him a contract. Darren Waller, give him a contract. And then, you know, within a year, they're gone for whatever reasons. They didn't work out. And now in this year's draft, they have to replace every one of those decisions in free agency. So sometimes it feels like wasted picks that we should have addressed last year in free agency. Again, they fixed a positional need in free agency last year. But they don't really have a plan, or they don't know what's going on, and they're flying by the pants. Then all of these mistakes or whatever happened. Now they go into this draft. They got many more needs. And like I said in my previous video, it feels like everybody on the team has been devalued by some way or another. People want to say Josh Jacobs hasn't, Devontae hasn't. That's a story for another day. But he's franchise tagged. Jacobs, he ain't getting money that he deserves. He got devalued. Again, he's not getting the guaranteed money. Devontae Adams lost his fringe, lost his quarterback, now has to work through a new quarterback, a new system. That's devalued in some sense. Max Crosby got devalued as well. He had to put in all the work last year. You know, 1 year closer to injury. I'm sorry, not injury, sorry. 1 year closer to, you know, being tired, you know, like whatever. Okay, we're not going to go there. I said that in another video. You guys can watch my day one recap video and get all the information on that. All right, so I have troubles with some of the draft picks, and I have positives about some of the draft picks. Let's get into it. In round one, we picked Tyree Wilson, the edge rusher. Is he a replacement for Chandler Jones? Is he going to work alongside him? He has a foot injury. He picked up the commissioner. They say he's good to go. There was rumors he was limping. Again, I don't know. But again, I didn't understand that pick at the time. And I graded that pick a, what did I grade it? A C+. But I moved it up after I got more information. I moved it up to a B-. And a lot of people had him on the board in top 10, at least in the top 15 of all draft prospects. So we got an edge rusher, and hopefully he can fix some of the problems with Chandler Jones. He could be a good complement to Max Crosby, so on and so forth. You guys know, what's going on with that situation. But again, it feels like a wasted pick when they got Chandler Jones for like $30 million or $15 million a year or whatever it is. It's just, But hopefully we got a three-headed monster, and we'll leave it at that. Then in round two, and they bypassed players like Jalen Carter and, quarterbacks and whoever else. But we don't need to go into detail. You can watch my video on day one. Michael Mayer on day two. And Byron Young, watch my video on that. I go into details. I believe we got the best tight end in the draft, or at least the top two. He's going to be maybe the George Kittle to Jimmy Garoppolo. He's going to be in the vein of hopefully Travis Kelce to Garoppolo, our quarterback. And, let's be honest. He's a decent run-blocking tight end, and he's also got a lot of big skills, and he's a big tight end. So people, because we have Josh McDaniels as our coach, are saying he was drafted to be the next Rob Gronkowski. We also got players like O.J. Howard and I forget the name all the time of the other, Austin Hooper, and they're on one-year deals. So I believe we possibly got. And we got Jesper Horsted. I believe we got the best tight end room with a mix of veterans and young players in the league. If Michael Myers pans out. I love that pick. I grade that pick a B+. I'm really excited for that pick. And it fits a need in our scheme. again, other players were available. The controversy with cornerback and all that we're going to get into. The Raiders traded up to get him. They traded up to get him, and there was rumors that they tried to get in the end of the first round to get a player as well, to trade up into that end of the first round. But they weren't able to do it. A lot of us thought it was for a quarterback, but I don't think that was the initial case. I think they were trying to move up to get Michael Mayer, because there was a run on tight ends right after they moved up to get him. So that seemed like a really good move for the Raiders, and I enjoy it. Then in round 3, pick 70, they got Byron Young. There's a little bit of controversy with his name, with another player from Tennessee. A lot of experts believe the Raiders picked up the wrong defensive lineman from Alabama. They got the wrong guy. The guy from Tennessee is better than him. Plus, they got the same names, and there was a little bit of a rumor or a theory started by an ESPN announcer that because the Raiders are so dysfunctional that they probably messed up the pick, and their pro scouting staff, their high school scouting staff, again, they got 2 scouting staffs that one of them put the name in wrong or the team wrong or whatever. It's just a theory, but I hate that it was put out into the world. Just an interesting drama concept for the Raiders. But they got a defensive tackle that appears to be a really good run stopper, and he doesn't get a lot of sacks. He's not really big in the backfield, to the quarterbacks, but he can control the line of scrimmage and wait and hopefully shed tackles and be a big defender in the inside of the team. So I grade that pick a C+ because of all the rumors that he's the worst Byron Young. I'm going to give it a C+. Again, I'm not an analyst. I give you simple thoughts, simple opinions. Then in round 3, the Raiders, I believe they traded up. Oh, no, they didn't. They waited till 100. Then they picked up wide receiver. Oh, Byron Young was at the Senior Bowl. Maybe Michael Mayer was as well again. And then the Raiders at pick 3, 100, picked Trey Tucker. There were still quarterbacks on the board that they were coveting. Again, we can go and play that into detail forever, who they could have picked, who they wanted. But they picked up Trey Tucker, a wide receiver out of Cincinnati. Some comparisons are Tyreek Hill-like. They call him the cheetah, Tyreek Hill. And he's got a lot of those playmaking abilities, special teamer. And a lot of teams need that gadget player. That I call them the little rats. They just get in there. You don't even know he's on the field. If you're on the opposing team, it's like 3rd down and 3, 3rd down and 4. You're like, oh, we got Hunter, we got Devontae, we got Jacoby Myers. Then all of a sudden, you think that's a running back in there or something. He just scouts in. Then they're like, oh man, that's a dang wide receiver, a special teams wide receiver. And then he gets in there and does a move in the backfield, catches the ball and runs 3 yards or something. Or breaks a tackle, runs 80. I don't know. But he has that ability, and I like that pick. We have a lot of wide receivers. He's a pure slot wide receiver. I don't know if that means drama ahead. Of course, some of the wide receivers we got on our roster will probably not make the final roster. Will Trey Tucker make the final roster? But he's a good gadget player and a good quick player and a good, I'm just going to say it, little rat wide receiver that can get around you and you don't know what's going on. I like that pick. I'm going to grade that pick a, even though there's a lot of rumors that the Raiders reached, everything with the Raiders is being criticized, and deservedly so. But then there's a ton of rumors that he was a 5th rounder or a 6th rounder. And then on multiple boards, we picked him at 100. He was listed at like 140, 150. And in his wide receiver group, we picked him like in the, I think it was like the 20 the 22 or 24 wide receiver taken, and he was listed as probably the 45th. So, and there's another wide receiver in Cincinnati, the number 1, that's better. A lot of people think is better than Trey Tucker. But again, that's open to interpretation. The Raiders wanted him. They coveted him. They coveted a rat gadget player. And Josh McDaniels does do that. He did it with Davante Adams, and that was pissing a lot of us off. Putting Davante Adams on screens, in the backfield, catching the ball. Davante Adams, early in the season, a couple times got the ball on a handoff. What the hell are you doing? That's Davante Adams. I'm not saying he's not quick or he can't break tackles, but you're going to get him injured. And then he kept getting hit on the 1 yard line, not getting any yardage. They stopped that after week 6, thank goodness. So Josh McDaniels wants a wide receiver like Trey Tucker to play around with, another tool for his set. I grade that pick a C+, B-, because I can see it working in our team. And then in round 4 on day 3, now these are the new picks that I didn't really watch all the highlights for, or I don't got all the measurables. I'm just being honest, guys. So we're going to kind of go through this together. I did watch a couple of videos on some of these players to get a little bit of information. Round 4, and again, everybody's like, man, we need a cornerback, and Ringo's on the board. The Raiders are pick at 109, and I was asleep. I wasn't able to watch the early morning draft. It started at like 9 o'clock in the morning. But so I woke up and I went to look, and I was thinking Ringo. Everybody's talking about cornerback Kalen Ringo. A lot of Raider fans on my live streams were like, Kalen Ringo, Kalen Ringo. I'm like, all right, I hope he falls to 109. So then I kind of woke up a little bit and put it on ESPN, the ticker, the tracker, and I tuned it on at pick 108. Then I was like, all right, the Raiders are next. Then it said that the Raiders weren't next. I was like, did they move up? Did they move down? Did they trade the pick? What happened? Then I did a little investigating, and they picked up Jacarion Bennett, cornerback out of Maryland. I'm like, all right, that's amazing. We got a cornerback. At least we got a cornerback. Then I started researching, and I'm like, where did Kalen Ringo go? The draft started at like 102 today. So Kalen Ringo must have went with the first pick or the second pick for the Raiders not to covet him. Then I realized at pick 105 with the Eagles, Kalen Ringo went to the Eagles, the Super Bowl champion Eagles. Or Kalen Ringo, excuse me. Kalen Ringo went to the Eagles. So the Raiders moved up to get a cornerback that was coveted. But it happened to be Jacarion Bennett, which people had him later in the draft. Kalen Ringo was above him on all best players available. So the Raiders moved up, not to get Kalen Ringo, the possible best available cornerback. They moved up to get their guy. And their guy was Jacarion Bennett, cornerback out of Maryland. Then with the next pick, I'm going to be honest, I don't know much about football or analyzing or scouting. Can I be hired for Dave Ziegler's scouting staff? I probably could. He's got 2 of them. Why not add a third? The idiot scouting staff. I could be a part of that. But now the Eagles, with the very next pick, Kalen Ringo, the best defensive team pretty much in the league, one of them, the Eagles, Super Bowl, they go to the Super Bowl, they lose it. Their defense sucked in the Super Bowl, let's be honest. But they immediately picked up Kalen Ringo. Does that mean he's better than Bennett? Does that mean he was high on a lot of teams' draft boards? Yeah. So, did the Raiders make a mistake? Did they get the wrong cornerback? It's up to interpretation. Then, In round 4, and we're going to get into a little bit more detail about this in a second when I do a comparison, the Raiders finally got a quarterback. They finally got a quarterback in Aiden O'Connell, quarterback out of Purdue. Many experts have him as a non-athletic quarterback. Doesn't have much of a skill set. Is not a running back quarterback. One of those. He's a pocket passer. He's small in stature, but big in heart. And he's very physical. He's an old school pocket passing quarterback. Aiden O'Connell. And that's a good name if you're going to be a quarterback in this league, especially in the 80s or 90s with the name like quarterback O'Connell. That's just, Irish, I don't know. O'Connell sounds like a good quarterback. But he played at Purdue, and again, the jury is out on him. He did fall to round 4. He's probably the 6th quarterback taken in the draft, but the Raiders got their guy to back up Garoppolo and to learn from. They got another, and I hate to be racial, but it sounds funny, another, because the league is going with athletic quarterbacks, and let's be honest, I'm just going to say black quarterbacks that are amazing. But the Raiders got a great white hope. And why do I do that and resort it back to race? Because it's Tom Brady-like. Apparently in the press conference, I haven't watched it yet, but either Josh McDaniels or Dave Ziegler, or maybe other people, but somebody is comparing Aiden O'Connell to Tom Brady. Of course, we are the Patriots West, or the Las Vegas Patriots. Sorry, guys, it feels that way and it hurts my soul. I'm salty. But they're comparing him to Tom Brady because Tom Brady was drafted in like the 6th, 7th round, one of those later day picks that was small in stature, didn't have a big skill set, wasn't the best quarterback in the league, whatever, doesn't have the deep arm ball, blah, blah, blah. Why are you going to compare Aiden O'Connell to Tom Brady? Why you guys got to do that? Is it only because Josh McDaniels is on our team? And if Dave Ziegler himself said it, what the F are you saying, Dave Ziegler? Shut the heck up. That is a sour point. Again, I don't know if Dave Ziegler said it in a press conference. I got to do a little more research. But if he did, shut your mouth. Why are you going to do that? Raider fans are already sour enough being called Patriots West. We hate Tom Brady, most of us. Why would you do that against Jimmy Garoppolo? If you did, allegedly. I don't know. I'll leave it at that. It's just ridiculous. Another stupid possible statement from either Josh McDaniels or Dave Ziegler. It was probably the reporters that compared him to Tom Brady. It was probably the scouting departments. I hope it wasn't the general manager or the coach or the owner of our team. But there's a little controversy that we'll talk about with Aiden O'Connell in a minute. But he was picked at 135 for the Raiders from New England. Did the New England help them out? They got a couple of more draft picks from us. I don't know all the details. The Raiders traded up a lot in this draft. They didn't trade down, to my knowledge, as of right now. They definitely traded up, and I do kind of like that. I kind of like they had a little bit of balls to trade up in this year's draft to get whoever they coveted. I kind of respect that. I wish they would have got different players at times, but I like the balls that they're at least willing to give up draft picks to get certain players. Because we went into this draft with, 12, 13 draft picks, and then we ended up with, 9? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We ended up with 9. So we lost 10, 11. I think we had 12 draft picks. So we moved up 3 times, lost 3 draft picks, maybe more for next year. I don't know all the details. But I like the fact that they're doing that. They're making moves. So I can appreciate that. All right. Then we had so many needs on our team. Then in round 5 at pick 170, they pick up, I guess, a safety out of Georgia, Christopher Smith. Trayvon Morig, I believe he was injured last season, but he is considered our best safety. Then we got Nate Hobbs that plays safety and third cornerback at times. But Christopher Smith, a safety out of Georgia, fits a need in the backfield. So I appreciate that. I don't know much details about him. Again, I'm not an expert. But I understand that fits a need in our backfield. And we can definitely teach a young safety out of a big school like Georgia to play better. I don't know if he's a ball hawk. I don't think he is. Let's hope he's a good tackler and a good route runner where he can see the field. I got to watch some more videos on him. Then in round 6 at pick 203 from Houston, remember Nick, I think his name is Nick Caserio, was a Patriot coach or staff member many years ago under McDaniels and Ziegler. And they traded with Houston a couple of times, or traded up, and they helped us out, I guess. And the Raiders got a linebacker out of Florida, Amari Burney. I am happy they got a linebacker in this year's draft. With Denzel Perryman leaving and whoever else that we lost, Amari Burney is a linebacker. I know he's drafted late in the 6th round. I don't know all the details if they reached or they did this, or he could get undrafted free agent or undrafted player, the UDFA, whatever they call it. I don't know. But we got a linebacker, and that's very interesting. Then in round 7, at pick 231, another one from New England, we got a defensive tackle to solidify our line again in Nesta Jada Silver out of Arizona State. So, if I have to grade this entire draft, which I will, and I know I should grade the picks of Jakari Bennett, Aiden O'Connell, I'm going to grade that one a C, because I don't know much about him. And we'll talk about more about Aiden Connell, the big name, in a minute, the big quarterback. If I have to grade this entire Raiders draft, I gave the grade a couple days, or yesterday, after round 3, I gave it a grade of B. Now looking back at the trading up and who they picked and some of the players that were available, like Ringo that I think they should have picked up, and knowing what I know that I'm about to tell you guys in a minute about another quarterback that they probably missed out on, I'm going to grade this draft I'm going to leave it at a B-. Of course, I want fancier names or people that I recognize, but I don't really know the true grades. I don't know how all these players will feel or fare. I'm going to give it a B- because they fit a need at every positional need. Okay? A lot of you guys might give it a B or an A or whatever else. That's fine. I don't mind. A lot of salty Raider fans as well will give it a C+, But we never really know. But every year with previous drafts for the Raiders, we basically have like a 5% out of 10 picks. We got like a 10% chance of getting one starter for 3 years. It seems that way. I don't know all the stats, but it's just interesting. Let's hope this is a 30% draft. We had basically 9 picks. I hope 3 of them are starters in 2 years. That would be a good roster. I hope 5 of them are still on the team. 2 of them are depth in 2 years. That would be a very successful draft. So we'll see. Now, here's my gripe with the entire draft, looking at the bigger picture. We had a lot of needs, pretty much at every position. We lost a quarterback, so we needed a quarterback. I know they got Jimmy Garoppolo and Hoyer, but I'm just speaking from superlatives, or I don't even know if that's the meaning of the word. But I'm looking at the bigger picture. We lost a quarterback. Chandler Jones appears to be a bust at defensive edge rusher. We lost a tight end. We lost a wide receiver. So we had needs at pretty much every position. What are the biggest needs? Did they address them? Yes, they did. Look at the draft board. We needed an edge rusher to possibly replace Chandler Jones. They got one. We needed a tight end to typically, let's just say, replace Darren Waller. They got one. We needed a defensive tackle to replace, I forgot whoever else we lost. We got Jerry Tillery as well on the inside. We got a defensive tackle in Brian Young. We needed a wide receiver. Or did we? But we needed a gadget player. But some say we didn't need a wide receiver. We had so many on our roster, but we picked up a wide receiver. I don't know if that's a wasted pick. I don't think so. We needed cornerbacks. We got one. We needed a quarterback. We got one. We needed a safety. We got one. We needed linebacker. We got one. And we needed a defensive tackle. And we got one. Some would say we got two. Like Brian Young is a defensive tackle, but he also plays the edge and outside linebacker, according to reports. But we got one. They didn't double down, except, again, maybe defensive tackle, if you want to say that. But they didn't double down at many positions of need that we need more players like cornerback. So, think about this from this standpoint, and I hope you guys can go along with me. We need basically, besides quarterback, but, and wide receiver, we need, besides quarterback and wide receiver, we need a starter at every position of need. We need a starter, or we hope for a starter day one from every position of need. The big needs like cornerback, tight end, defensive edge rusher, defensive tackle, safety, linebacker. We basically need a starter in those positions. And they didn't double down in the draft at cornerback or linebacker while we needed a starter. And there's no guarantee that any of these players, these one players at that position, are going to be a starter. So did they get starters, or are they hoping to find starters? And did they really add to the team without adding? In my opinion, they should have doubled down at bigger positions of need on defense, like cornerback or whatever. Again, they're going to look at free agents. They got Mims at safety, blah, blah, blah. We can go into those details. I'm just saying it's really, really weird how they basically pulled one player from every positional need. Oh, we need a quarterback. Well, we might not need a quarterback. If you believe in Garoppolo and Hoyer, and the other quarterback on our roster, Chase, whatever his name is, I forget. Forgive me. But they did that. I don't know. I don't know if I can get you guys to my way of thinking. I'm confusing myself, which I always do. But it's just like, they need a tight end. They get a tight end. They need this. They don't double down technically. And they don't try to get depth. And of course, they're going to do that in undrafted free agency and all that. But I just wanted you guys to see the bigger picture, if it made any sense from my perspective, that they it feels like they don't have a plan. Like they got a board. And they said they were going to take the best player available in multiple press conferences. They said they were going to take the best player available. And if you guys watched the entire draft and know the happenings, they did not. They did not take the best player available, according to many of the experts. Again, they have their own scouting staff. But they didn't take the best player available, so whatever they said feels like a lie or a misinterpretation, whatever it may be. But it feels like they have a board that Dave Ziegler and Josh McDaniels say, hey, we have a possible need at quarterback, a possible need at wide receiver, but a big-time need at cornerback, a big-time need at linebacker, a big-time need at tight end. I'm naming them all. They got a board with all those positional needs. And maybe quarterback is down on the list, or, wide receiver is like 5th on their needs, wherever they place it. But they start the draft and they go, okay, we need an edge rusher. We like this guy. We need an edge rusher. Boom, we draft him. Then the next round comes up, or the next pick, and they go, hey, man, we need a tight end. We love that tight end. Let's go move up and get that tight end. Take that need off the board. Oh, we still need a wide receiver. All right, we kind of like that guy Tucker. Boom, Tucker. We need a defensive tackle. Oh, boom, gone. We possibly need a safety. Boom, safety. We possibly need a defensive tackle. Boom, gone. Oh, we need a cornerback. Boom, gone. Hey, we got no more needs, and we got no more picks. Is that best player available, or is that taking positional players from the list and going by that's it? It's a list. Maybe a quarterback or a cornerback or some other player at another value the Raiders technically didn't need. They didn't pick up that player. They were like, oh, you know what? That cornerback is really, really good. That cornerback is also on our board, high on the list. But we got a need at wide receiver. I want to get one player from every position in this draft. So, I don't know. I thought the Raiders drafted a offensive player. I don't know if they did. Maybe what I'm seeing is wrong. But I would think the Raiders would have picked an offensive lineman. And they didn't. Or a tackle. I felt that was a position of need. Because Colton Miller might not be on the team after next year. I think he's a free agent. But there it is. That's my review of the draft class. I graded a B-. I graded a B-. And we'll see moving forward. All right, let's get into Mikey's conspiracy theories or whatever. What here's what happened. Here's what happened with Aiden O'Connell. Again, I can't prove it. All right. The Raiders wanted multiple quarterbacks, Anthony Richardson, whoever else they had on their board. If they had Hendon Hooker on their board or whatever. If they had Will Levis on their board. They wanted to get him later in the rounds or whenever, whatever. All of those players were possibly gone before the Raiders got to their need of quarterback. And then a lot of people had Jake Haener as a prospect because he played at the Senior Bowl. A lot of people had him, and probably Aiden O'Connell played there as well. I got to look that up. But Jake Haener was a possible prospect for the Raiders if they didn't get a quarterback early in the early rounds. Then, in a conspiracy manner, I always say that Josh McDaniels is a sarcastic P-R-I-C-K, and he's one of these guys like Steven Crowder that puts little jabs and treats players and people like crap and exposes them and does little sarcastic jokes. He's a narcissist, an egocentric, whatever. That's how I feel about Josh McDaniels. And I made the theory a couple videos back. What would you think happens if the Raiders drafted Jake Haener out of Fresno State? Everybody would compare Jake Haener as the better or worse quarterback than Derek Carr for the Saints. Everybody would compare them if the Raiders drafted Jake Haener. But according to a lot of experts and Raider fans, he was on their board to be drafted. And I see in a sarcastic way Josh McDaniels honestly wanting Jake Haener. Again, if he didn't get the quarterback that he wanted before, if they fell at that point, I could see in a sarcastic manner Josh McDaniels wanting to draft Jake Haener to kind of shove it in Derek Carr's face because they didn't get along. Even though they say they're good, everything's fine. It's public lies. I could see them wanting and picking Jake Haener. So, again, the Raiders moved up from 109 to whatever it was, 104, to pick up that player, the cornerback that they got. Then they had another pick at 135. Or it might have been 144. I'm sorry, I think it was 144. I believe they had another pick at 144. So, by all accounts, after they got the cornerback Bennett, they knew that Jake Haener's on the board and they needed a quarterback. But here's what happened. Before the Raiders were on the board to pick their quarterback, the Saints swooped in. I don't know if they traded up. I think I heard that they did. But the Saints swooped in and took Jake Haener to reunite him with Derek Carr, who they know each other, to make Derek Carr happy. And to take Haener away from the possibility of Josh McDaniels taking Jake Haener and then him being compared to Derek Carr by all Raider fans, and Derek Carr getting more hatred if Jake Haener ends up being a better quarterback and or becomes the starter for the Raiders. I guarantee you Derek Carr convinced Dennis Allen of the Saints, let's pick this guy. I don't want no controversy. The Raiders will ruin his career. He's a friend of mine. Josh McDaniels will ruin his career. I don't know. But I guarantee you Derek Carr said something to Dennis Allen, and Dennis Allen showed trust, showed belief, showed love, showed respect for Derek Carr, and got Jake Haener and snatched him away from the Raiders. Again, it's a theory. I can't prove it, but I think that's what happened. Now, Josh McDaniels is effing pissed because, let's be honest, Derek Carr knew that Josh McDaniels would probably take Jake Haener, and Derek Carr got in there like a hawk and messed it up in spite of Josh McDaniels and to save Jake Haener from Josh McDaniels. I think that's what happened. So now Josh McDaniels is pissed. He lost his guy. So they moved up from 144. They traded with New England. They had to get the next person on their board that they like, Aiden O'Connell. That's my theory, and I believe it to be 90% true. Josh McDaniels was going to take Jake Haener. He was going to. Because if they moved up to get Aiden O'Connell, that proved that they had a need in the fourth round at quarterback. And they might have even moved up to like 130 or 135 like they did, and they thought Jake Haener would be there. If the Saints did trade up, I got to go get that information. That'll just prove my theory even more correct. But that being said, it was an interesting tidbit that I missed, and I wish I was live to give you my report on it. but it's an interesting theory. And I saw an interview with Jake Hayner talking about, him and Derek Carr's relationship, and he's like an older brother. He's got his phone number, and, he always used to wear Saints beanies, and he was a Drew Brees fan and stuff like that. He's saying and doing all the right things. Will he replace Derek Carr? People are like, why are you talking about Derek Carr? Relax. I'm a Derek Carr fan. I'm rooting on Derek Carr when he doesn't play the Raiders. I'm rooting him on. Can you guys deal with it? Can you get over it? I hope so. But I don't think Jake Hayner is as excited. Of course he is. He's excited to be in the NFL. But I don't think he's excited as much as he should be, because he's got to play under his friend who might play there for 5-6 years at least and be, the best quarterback for the Saints, barring any injury. Then he's also got to compete with, not only he's got to compete with Derek Carr, he's got to compete with Jameis Winston. I don't know if he'll be number 2, or he might be relegated in his first season or 2 to be number 3. And when players go into the NFL, they have their dreams of becoming a starter within the first 2 or 3 years, at least. And they would like to go to a team where they would be the starter from day one, I don't think that's the case for Jake Hayner. But if he went to the Raiders, there's a good possibility that he could have been the starter, maybe not day one, but after year 1. Or after an injury with, and I'm not rooting for one, of Jimmy Garoppolo. If Jake Hayner came to the Raiders, he had a quicker path, in theory, to become a starting quarterback. But by him going to the Saints, it probably is a better organization at the moment. It's probably a better situation for him mentally, physically, verbally, whatever. But there's no guarantee, and there's not a quicker path that I can see of him becoming the starter. So while I was watching the interview, while he was talking about his love for Derek Carr and he can't wait to be a Saint, I have to have the feeling in the back of my mind that he's like, dang, I love going to the Saints and I'm proud to be in the NFL, but I wanted a quicker path to becoming a starter and making, millions and millions of dollars. So he might be a little like, dang. That's just my theory, and I'm sticking to it. But congratulations, Aiden O'Connell. You are a little bit up there in age. I think you're 24, 25 years of age, but I'm not going to hold that against you. But let's be honest, quarterbacks that were taken in the draft that were over 25 or 24, not a lot of them have become major superstars in the NFL. There was that guy for the Cleveland Browns. There was a couple of others, but I don't know. But long story short, I'm cool with this year's draft. I'm trying to be positive because you, Raider Nation, have been supporting me, taking care of me, blessing me, and I love each and every one of you. So for myself, my show, my channel, hit that like button, subscribe button, consider becoming a member for future videos, and I'll see you the next time I go live. It's Mikey Raider, and I'm telling you, Raider Nation for life. Good luck, draft picks.